guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to cover everything to do with labor and delivery. This is going to be a two-part series. So the first part is going to be purely educational, and the second part is going to be my personal labor and delivery story. For those who don't know, I go by the Mindful Mama. My name is Tanisha, and I am a full-time registered nurse. I am also a new mother to my beautiful baby Vienna. She is just a little over 2 months old. I created this channel to connect with other moms and to just give advice and get advice through motherhood. You know, there's no book that comes with motherhood. There's no perfect or right way to do it. This is just a great time to build such a strong community of mothers that can help each other through this time and make it a little easier to transition into motherhood. I hope you guys can connect with me through my videos. Comment down below anything you want to see, any questions you have. If you just want to say hi, I love that too. Or you can DM me on my Instagram. I'll put my handle down below. It's 10.themindfulmama. If you're interested in anything related to labor and delivery, then please keep watching. Okay, so first things first, you are pregnant, you think it could be time to deliver, you're approaching your due date. How do you know it's time to go to the hospital? So some women are under the impression that when you lose your mucus plug or your water breaks, that it's time to grab your bags, run to the hospital, check in, and you're going to deliver that baby. Well, that's not quite how it works. So in regards to your mucus plug, not all women lose it. That's the first thing. And the second thing is you can lose it and you may not start laboring for weeks. Also, another thing to know is some women will experience their water breaking and some women won't. This isn't like you see in the movies. You know, there's not a gush and a puddle under you and, you know, you're out in public and you're super embarrassed. This is usually subtle. All of a sudden you'll feel your underwear wet, or you'll go pee, you'll wipe, and then later, like, you just keep feeling like fluid. Little drips of fluid. And you're wondering, like, okay, what's going on? Am I peeing my pants? What is this? So that's usually how it will present if your water does break. But if it doesn't break on its own, your doctor, your OB, he will actually break it when you're in the hospital. So let's say your water broke or it didn't break, but you're experiencing contractions and you're wondering, is it time to go to the hospital? The first thing you're going to want to do is call your doctor. Whether it's the middle of the night, early morning, they always have someone on call who can answer your questions. But if you're like me and you like to figure things out yourself because you don't like to bother people, which is not what I always would recommend in certain situations, labor being one of them, you can just do a quick Google search to find out the difference between true and false labor. So with false contractions, they're irregular, and they're not going to get closer together with time. You're just going to have sporadic, feelings of pain. If it's false, it's usually going to be in the front of your abdomen, the front lower abdomen. It's going to feel more like menstrual pain. If you're in true labor, you're going to experience pain in your back that radiates to the front. Contractions will be regular. They'll get closer with time, and they're usually between 30 and 60 seconds long. Another indication that it's not true labor is if you're feeling contractions, you get up, you go for a walk, and the pain goes away. Or vice versa. You're walking around, you're feeling pains in your lower abdomen, you lay down, you rest, and they go away. So let's say that you called your doctor or midwife, and they recommended that you go to the hospital. When you get to the hospital, they'll check you in. So if you haven't pre-registered, they'll ask for your name, your ID, and your insurance information. From there, an L&D nurse will come and get you, and they'll take you to triage. So at triage, they're going to assess you. They're going to see how far your contractions are apart, and they will also check to see if you're dilated. So to see if you're dilated, the nurse is going to stick 2 fingers into your vagina and feel for your cervix. At that point, she's going to see how far she can open her fingers, and that'll tell her if you're dilated and how much you're dilated at that point. So usually if you're dilated about 2 or 3 centimeters, they'll want to keep you at the hospital. But sometimes, if you're not dilated, they'll send you home. Don't worry, before you know it, you'll be back. But you're going to spend so much time in labor that if you're not ready and they send you home, it's not necessarily a bad thing. So once you're admitted, you'll be assigned your own L&D room. At this time, you'll most likely have two nurses setting you up if one's helping the other. One will be getting you on the monitor. You'll be monitored either intermittently or continuously, depending on what your doctor ordered. And then the other one will be starting an IV on you. So your IV will most likely be in your hand or in your forearm, like mine. They do this so that they can keep you hydrated throughout labor. They do this so they can give you pain medication if it's part of your birth plan, or they can give you Pitocin if ordered. You'll have two bands on you to monitor the baby and your contractions. One will go at the top of your stomach, and one is usually at the bottom towards wherever the baby is, so they'll have to move it and place it depending on the baby's position. This is to monitor the baby's heart rate and also to monitor your contractions. So all hospitals have their own policies and procedures for their labor and delivery floor. If you're like mine, I was allowed to have 3 people in the room, so that's including dad. I think having 2 people besides dad is the usual, but you can choose that. So some women choose not to have anybody in the room besides dad. Some women want just their mother and the dad, and some people allow the mother-in-law to come in as well. You can also elect to have your sister, your best friend, whoever you want. At that time, they usually give them special bands so that they can go in and out. You're not allowed to have anybody else come in just to say hi during this time. That usually happens after the baby's born on the postpartum side. So a big thing to think about is if you want an epidural. If you choose to have an epidural, it's good to have that in your birth plan from the beginning, so the nurse knows and is aware, because if you wait too long, sometimes they can't give you the epidural. So if you're progressing too much, but then you become in pain and you want it, and it's too late, they can't give it to you. With an epidural, you have to stay still for usually around 30 minutes while they insert it. Everyone who's in the room that you chose to be in the room gets out at the time as an anesthesiologist places the epidural. Another good thing to know is if you choose not to have an epidural, there is an option to just have pain medication. It's given through the IV, so that's another good reason to just have it placed when you arrive and you get settled in your room. Also, for moms who aren't aware how it works in the hospital, there is change of shift, usually every 12 hours. I think some hospitals have 8-hour shifts, but it's pretty customary to have 12-hour shifts. So at any time during you laboring, you can have 2-3 different nurses that come in and out. They will tell you when they're changing shift. Your new nurse will come in and introduce themselves, and they'll take over and continue on. But that is important to know because you won't necessarily always have the same nurse. Another big thing to know is you may have selected your OB thinking, or your midwife thinking that they were going to deliver your baby. While that is the plan, they can't work 24/7. So they have shifts. They're on call at certain times. If you end up delivering your baby when your selected OB or midwife is not on call or working, then you may have another OB or midwife deliver your baby. Don't get scared. Usually these people are just as great as your doctor that you selected or your midwife you selected. A good thing to ask in your visits before you have baby is, what are the chances that you want to deliver my baby? If you didn't, then who usually does, and what do you think about them? Most of the time they're pretty honest about their opinion, and it'll just make you feel a little bit better. You can even elect to meet the providers who may be delivering your baby if you choose to do so. So the whole point of laboring is to get that cervix to dilate to 10 centimeters. This is optimal dilation for baby to be delivered safely, and you are unable to dilate the way you should be, or there's any kind of emergency, then your provider will most likely elect to do a C-section. So just some side notes. A typical labor and delivery for a first-time mom lasts 12 to 24 hours. They can last longer. It can last up to 36, depending on what's happening. Also, a lot of times they won't allow you to eat or drink while you're in labor. So they will give you ice chips, but the IV fluids that they hung, those will keep you hydrated along with the ice chips. If you are on continuous monitoring, you're not allowed to get up. You'll have to stay in bed. But if you are on intermittent monitoring, they'll want to monitor you at least once an hour. You can get up. You can walk around the nurse's station in circles. If they have a yoga ball or you brought your own yoga ball, you can bounce on it. You can just stand up, do different moves that you may have learned or that your doctor may have recommended while you're laboring. It's not always comfortable to just stay in bed. Sometimes getting up and moving helps progress labor. Another thing to think about is who you choose to be in your room. So while you might want your mother-in-law and your mom in there, or your best friend or your sister, really think about, do these people stress you out on a regular basis? Do they keep you calm? Are they encouraging? Will they respect your wishes to get an epidural or not to get an epidural, to get pain medication or not to get pain medication? Maybe you'll want a whole natural birth and your mom and sister and everyone else had an epidural and they don't understand why. So these are things that you should really run through. Also, run through it with your partner because you want your partner to be encouraging. You want him to feel comfortable. You want him to be at ease and as calm as possible, because if he's stressed out, you're going to feel more stressed and there's already enough going on in the room. All right, so what happens after you push that baby out? So most likely they're going to put your baby on your chest for some skin to skin. But there are also things that need to be done for baby. For example, they're going to weigh and measure your baby, most likely do the footprints at this time. They may also administer medication to your baby at this time. That's just routine. But after all that's done, they'll give the baby back to you and you'll want to bond. Skin to skin is so important for many different reasons. I definitely encourage talking to your provider about it. If you aren't really understanding the point of skin to skin, it's also good for your partner to do skin to skin, so just have dad take off his shirt right away and hold baby. Another recommendation I have for mom, if she is choosing to breastfeed, is to breastfeed within the first 30 minutes. I did take a lactation course while I was pregnant, and they said the most successful breastfeeding mothers breastfeed within 30 minutes of their baby being born. So I think at that time the baby just latches on right away because they're looking for that nutrients and they already have that bond with you.
I just wanna love you, just wanna hold you, just wanna